flow of money laundering. They controlled the drugs going into the United States, primarily through the Caribbean corridor, using Central American countries' staging areas, and the Caribbean corridor, where they sent fast. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where we discuss everything narco. We left off talking about the Godmother, Griselda Blanco, and how she paved the way for what later became the Medellín Cartel. As we all know from watching the Netflix Narcos series, the Godfather was Pablo Escobar Gaviria. And how did he build an overnight, literally a billion dollar empire? It wasn't by himself. He had some assistants, and he developed like a consortium or collective of associates. Some of them were Rodriguez Gacha, Carlos Lader, the Ochoa Vasquez family. They helped him build what became the most powerful cartel that we know today as the Medellín Cartel. They, how did they do that? Well, they developed a system whereby they controlled everything from cultivation, transportation, the flow of money laundering. They controlled the drugs going into the United States, primarily through the Caribbean corridor, using Central American countries' staging areas, and the Caribbean corridor, where they sent fast boats, one after another, right into the southeastern part of the United States. We know from Griselda Blanco that the violence had already kicked off, and Pablo Escobar was no different. He ruled through violence. And so how did he become so successful? Well, because of that tool. The tool of violence allowed him to intimidate, control, and influence. And what kind of influence am I talking about? I'm talking about corruption that went from the police, military, and even entered the political realm. He became popular. He was like a Robin Hood. He was beloved by his community, his town. He built schools, churches. He threw money around like it was nothing. He co-opted newspapers. And of course, at some point in time in the early 80s, he thought about pursuing a congressional seat. And this is where the violence really kicked in. It was discovered through a deeper dive into his financial background that all of his wealth came from drug trafficking. So that is when the violence really started. And let me highlight some of the things that occurred, starting in 1984 with the assassination of the Minister of Justice, Rodrigo Lara. And then in 1986, he assassinated an editor of a wide distribution newspaper that was talking about the narco trade and how Pablo Escobar was running the business. Then in 1988, the Attorney General was assassinated when they started talking about extradition. 1989, Luis Carlos Galan was a presidential candidate. He was killed again in 1989. Pablo Escobar wanted to kill one man and one man only. So he decided he would blow up Avianca Flight 203 that killed 107 people. At this point, the Colombian population, the government in general, desired nothing more than to get rid of Pablo Escobar and see about the Medellín Cartel's downfall. And they sought a bilateral partner in the United States. Now, at this point, Pablo Escobar was becoming paranoid of everyone, anyone and everyone. He started putting hits out on police officials, putting bounties on their head. He started killing members of his own organization. And as you know, if you have followed me, you realize there's a common theme with all of my commentaries with regard to the drug trade. The beginning of the end for every cartel has to do with violence. And in this case, Colombia had seen enough violence where it sought to hunt him down and put him down or get him extradited to the United States. Well, he wasn't about to be extradited to the United States. But as we know, in the early 90s, the hunt was on. And where was I at this time? I was in Bolivia, assigned to the embassy in La Paz, Bolivia. We were conducting paramilitary operations targeting clandestine labs that were producing and sending cocaine base to Colombia for it to be converted into cocaine hydrochloride for further export to the United States and elsewhere in markets throughout the world. Eventually, December of 1993 is when the Colombian counterparts and the United States agents, working closely with the counterparts, were able to track Pablo Escobar down and ended up killing him as he attempted to escape. Now, there are experts who were on the ground working closely with the with the Colombian counterparts, and I want to highlight a book that you can all refer to for details about how exactly everything was done on the ground, with boots on the ground. Information coming from the agents who made it all happen. The agents were Steve Murphy and Javier Pena. Their book is Manhunters, and you can find it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. For now, I'm going to say goodbye, and the next time you see me, we'll be talking about what came after Escobar.